Okay, this is now tarot lesson number 83. Before I begin, today's the 20-something of February. I'm going to England this weekend, so I get there on Saturday around midday, and I'm back I'm coming back the following Friday. So I'm going to do a second video today, lesson 84, and upload it to YouTube and have them release it, or whatever the word would be, on like next Wednesday or maybe. So we'll see how it goes. So today is part 1 of 2 because Evilin, her question was, what does she need to know? I think that was the question. What does she need to know now to make 2023 a successful year? And the card that she got was the Judgment card. And she looked at it and she wrote that her normal understanding of the card is pay attention to your inner being or your higher source or something along those lines. But then she got stuck because she didn't know what the inner being, how do you recognize the inner being? What is it? What's going on with it? And so she picked three cards and got the Judgment card, the Tower, and the 10 of coins, if I can get it. Okay, so part 1 is going to be about the Judgment card, and part 2 is going to be about the 3 cards that explained to Evilin what the inner self is. So I'd like to make 2 points and then I'll talk about the Judgment card. The 2 points are, first, that Evelin's her thought was, okay, this card normally means wake up and smell the coffee, was the expression she used in the email, and also pay attention to what's going on. But maybe when you've got a question and you pick a card, rather than go to your normal meaning, take a look at the picture and see what you get that's new. Partly because you may not have asked that question before. And I imagine that Evilin did not ever ask, what do I need to know to make 2020 a good year? So it can be a different kind of question that you're asking. And I think it's a fact that the answer or the meaning of the card depends to a large extent on the question. So the question is, how does she make 2023 a successful year? Or what does she need to know now to make it a successful year? So I think look at the card itself as if you're seeing it for the first time and see what you can get out of it, rather than assume that you're going to get a repetition of previous meanings. And the other thing is, the question, what does she need to know to make 2023 a successful year? 2023 is like 12 months along. And so it may be that what she needs to learn or what she needs to know is going to change throughout the year. It's not going to be one word or one answer or one fact that is important to know and then everything falls into place. And it can be that this card is going to tell her about different things that will happen throughout the year and different behavior that's going to be appropriate at different times. So what I did was, and I'll show you this, I've kind of mentioned it before, I think, but what you do is you get, let's say that we've got the card as the Judgment card, and you take 2 minutes and you write down, or you take 1 minute and you write down things that might be important to do with this particular card. And so I wrote down angel, trumpet, people, coffin, and water. And that took like 30 seconds just by looking at the card. Then I spent a little bit of time thinking about angel. What might I say, or what might the angel mean? And so I've got some notes here that I'm going to, because I'm trying to answer Evelin's question, I've got notes that I made, and I want to refer to them so that I don't leave anything out, or I don't leave out what I think is important. So you take a minute or half a minute and write down a 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 topics to do with this particular card. Maybe I could have put the flag there, but I forgot, or I didn't notice it at the time. So there would be other maybe angel wings can be important as well. But I chose these 5 words, and then I took a couple of minutes for each word and made some notes about what the angel might mean. And I've got what the angel might mean, what the trumpet might mean, the people, the coffins, and that's the last bit about the water. So the question then is, how does she make 2023 a successful year? So the first thing, I guess I started at the top and worked my way to the bottom. And I started with the angel. So somehow, to make 2023 a good year, she needs to, or she will be guided by her inner being, or it's important for her to establish a firm connection or a better connection with her inner self, whatever that might mean. And I don't know what to say about the higher self, but I wrote down higher self anyway, just to see what I could do with it. Then I wrote the symbol for Gemini, and it seems to me, maybe the angel, and for Evelin's question, it's about Gemini, if you remember, is Castor and Pollux. One is mortal, Castor, and the other is immortal, the child of a god. And so maybe the angel or the inner self is pointing to the fact that we've got an outer self and an inner self, that we've got a human part of us that is normal and typical and gets worked up about things and gets anxious and gets angry. But we've also got a divine part, which is eternally present and deals with unlimited everything, because the universe is unlimited. And so maybe what Evilin does with the judgment card, how to make it a good year, is take seriously the idea that we've got an inner being, or that we've got an inner source or an inner motivation, and do what she can to connect with it. And this can be why the 2 other cards, the Tower and the 10 of Coins, can give information about how to connect. Then I wrote down angel cards. I don't personally use angel cards, but maybe what she does is she buys a pack of angel cards, and once a week or once every 3 days she picks a card with an angel and then she does some research on the angel, because angels and angel cards will give you inspirational quotes, or they'll give you an idea of what that particular angel does or is about, or the skill or the strength of that particular angel. And maybe Evilin would then develop that strength over the next few days, prompted by the angel who came up or who was chosen on that particular day. What else did I write? Commune. So maybe she spends some time as well throughout the year communing with her angelic self, or communing with angels. Some people see angels. I don't. But some people do, and some people talk to angels, and some people's angels talk to them. So maybe it's a good idea, or it would be a good idea for Evilin to not experiment, but to make some connection and commune with her inner angel. Inspirational messages that's what I've got here. So the angel can represent inspirational messages. So maybe she reads poetry and gets ideas about the meaning of life, or she quotes from famous people. I can't think of any offhand, but if you go to quotes.com and pick a name, you'll find all sorts of words of wisdom from various people. So maybe once a week or once a day, she's got a notebook and she gets a quote of the day and she writes it down and she thinks about it. And in that way, it helps her to change and to become better and to make 2023 a successful year. Then we've got the trumpet here. And so the trumpet. Music is important. So maybe for Evelyn, listen to music this year, but listen to it not in the background, but actually spend some time deliberately listening to the music and see what you get out of it. Because listening to music is a bit like meditation, because if you're listening to the music, you're not thinking. And so when you stop listening to the music, your brain switches on again, but you're refreshed by the fact that you weren't thinking and maybe worrying or being anxious during the time you were listening to the music. And that's how music can be like meditation, because it stops your brain going. Also, it's good for enjoyment. I mean, I don't know if you listen to anybody or anything, but find music to listen to, because there's a book called The Mozart Effect by, I think his name is Don Campbell, and it has to do with how people who have severe problems, if you play them Mozart for periods of time, they get better. There's healing in the music of Mozart for some reason. Maybe because of the vibration of the notes that are played, or maybe the combination of notes, that it has a healing effect. So maybe you listen to Mozart, but also because of trumpet, find bands that have a brass section. So I have been, in the last couple of months, I've been listening to 25 or 64 by Chicago, played live at Tanglewood, and they've got a saxophone, a trumpet, and a trombone, and it's really good brass section. So maybe listen to wind instruments this year. Three people. So CP means contrast, right? So we've got the higher self and the lower self. We've got Castor, the human, and we've got the divine. And so if you think of it, the word divine gives us divination, which is working with tarot cards. So maybe what happens is with Evelyn, if she, the human, works with tarot cards, she's going to connect with her inner self, because it's all about divination. And divination connects you with that which is unlimited and eternal. So connect with that, and 2023 becomes a really good year. Then the coffins down here. So a coffin, if you think about it, a coffin can represent restriction, right? Because you're in a wooden box, or you're dead, but you're in a wooden box and you really can't move. So the coffin can represent restriction. And when a dead body in a coffin decomposes, right? But the lid is open. So the judgment card means, or represents, or points to newfound or new possibilities of freedom. So if the experiences in 2022, let's say, that held Evelyn back or made her feel that she couldn't move, that she was restricted, they're changing. They're gone. They're not. They don't need to control her anymore, because the lid of the coffin is open. Open lid equals F for freedom. And then, Paradise Lost. There's a friend of mine years ago. He was studying English at university, and I read an essay of his, and it was about Paradise Lost by John Milton. And I always remembered the last line that he wrote. And because at the end of Paradise Lost, it said, they, meaning Adam and Eve, they, hand in hand with wandering steps and slow, through Eden took their solitary way. And the friend of mine wrote, and the word took is brilliant for its association with the idea of acceptance of new freedom, acceptance from God of new freedom. And that's what wandering out of the Garden of Eden meant. It was new freedom. So maybe Evelyn reads Paradise Lost. And so new possibilities. And so if we've got the idea of new freedom and the coffin lids being open, if Evelyn gets an idea that's liberating, don't dismiss it immediately, as she might be in the habit of doing, because we often do that. We get a good idea and we immediately think, no, it's not going to work, and we don't bother thinking about it. But with the judgment card also being upright and the coffin lids being open and representing new freedom, if or when Evelyn gets an idea, she should hold on to it and keep it and work with it and see where it goes and not dismiss it. And the last part is the water, right? Because the coffins are floating in the water. And I wrote down, water can represent emotions. So here, emotions are Evelyn's friend because the card's upright. And the fact that the coffin lids are open and the coffins are floating on the water, I think is an indication that she will not be overwhelmed by her emotions throughout the year, or rather, that's what to watch out for. If she's feeling overwhelmed, don't give in to it. Go somewhere else, or change the subject, or find something less overwhelming to think about. Maybe put on some Mozart, or put on some music, or read a poem if she's feeling overwhelmed, rather than, because if she is on top of the water, things go well. Remembering, what have I got here? Oh yeah, two things. I remember once, if you take a metal coin and put it in the water, it'll sink. But if you take a piece of wood and put it on the water, it'll float. And it's not because of the weight, it's because of the volume that the thing displaces. So if the coin, because a metal ship doesn't sink, well, it can sink, but it floats. And that's because the volume of water that is displaced by the hull is greater than the water. I'm not quite sure of the physics of it all, but it's just, I don't know what more to say about this, but maybe Evelyn could think about the idea. It's not the weight of something that's important, it's the displacement that takes place that enables things to happen that seem magical or puzzling, because you put a piece of wood that weighs 10 pounds on the water and it'll float. You put a coin on that weighs like half an ounce on the water and it's going to sink. But it's not the weight that makes a difference. There's something else going on. And maybe with the judgment card, we're meant to, or Evelyn is meant to look for what's really happening, or what's going on as well, or maybe what's really going on. Okay, I don't know how long that was, but that's what I've got for judgment. So I'm going to make the second video now. I'll just close up here. So that's the end of 84, and I'll be back in a few days with, or sorry, that was the end of 83. I'll be back to 84, and it should be released by YouTube next Wednesday. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, bye bye.